So today we're going to talk about the Cailleach, an ancient crone goddess that represents knowledge, wisdom, power, ancestral knowledge, that ancestral link, ancestral magic and elemental magic, shape-shifting, and obviously winter. Another of our winter goddesses, our winter seers. And Cailleach folklore links her to the earth as an ancient earth goddess. She is said to have formed the earth, the mountains around us, by dropping boulders from her apron. And she represents that time from Samhain till Beltane, being naturally most powerful in the dark half. And obviously the Celts split the year into two, the dark half and the light half. The Cailleach, with links to being an Neolithic goddess, a primordial nature being, is therefore considered a dark goddess because of her links to the dark half, which also links her to the underworld, death, rebirth, and that sacred wise woman knowledge, that wisdom. She is a strong, firm goddess, adheres to her boundaries, yet down to earth with a great sense of humour and understanding towards human nature. Said to also have a marvellous sense of humour. And the Cailleach is sometimes depicted with one eye, which nods towards seer abilities, that ability to have one foot either side, one in each world of existence, each plane of existence, straddling both this earthly plane and other planes out there. She's therefore considered a survivor of death. And in some legends she's married to the Celtic sea god Manannán. However, the majority of legends out there report her as being a hermit nomadic traveller. And although most legends paint her as being linked purely as a Celtic Gaelic goddess, like with most ancient folklore, there are a lot of links out there that represent similar Cailleach figures as winter goddesses too. There are also traces of her through history that are pre-Celtic. And the word Cailleach has several translations: crone, old woman, hag, the old one, the wise woman, the veiled one. And some Gaelic translations say that it translates into being the chalice. And the chalice is a symbol of the womb, rebirth and transformation. The veil, a symbol of hidden mysteries. And when we break down the word Cailleach, the word Caille at the beginning translates to veil. Well, it actually translates to covering, and most women in ancient cultures, when they hit menopause, would cover their heads. She's not just an earth goddess, she also has associations as a water goddess too. And in most legends her cave entrance lies to the west, and when I'm doing ritual workings that involve the Cailleach, I always position her representations in the west quarter. On occasion I will put it in the north, it depends on what the intent behind my working is, but primarily she goes in the west. Moves over lakes, rivers, oceans, with links to wells, deep wells. And as an elemental goddess, she controls the weather, she manipulates the weather. And in many Gaelic stories, she unleashes storm after storm upon the land, rolling down from a cave in the hill. And she represents winter survival, that knowledge within us all, that survival instinct, as well as resilience and endurance through the harsh winters too. She's a passage of age goddess that is with us from birth to death, representing the cycle of life, the very nature of life itself. And she's often depicted as riding a wolf across the sky, and as she travels across, she spreads snow and ice across the land before retreating into the earth, where she nurtures the seeds before they're ready for spring. A goddess of rebirth, healing, shadow work, new growth and transformation, new beginnings. And the winter is the perfect time to go inwards, to reflect on ourselves, to work on those deep shadows within, get deep in there into that shadow work, because it is a time for self-reflection, self-growth, nurturing ourselves, resting and healing. And there are many celebrations out there that are linked to the Cailleach. And Lathanar Cailleach fell on the 25th of March. It was known commonly as Cailleach Day. Sadly, by the mid-17th century, records show that the celebrations of Cailleach Day had dwindled down. And according to records, the 25th of March was originally the start of spring, the new year. So, New Year celebrations were held on the 25th of March, with symbolic rituals, so to speak, of driving out the hag of winter, making way for a positive year ahead. The Isle of Man, as another example on Beltane, which falls traditionally on the 1st of May, would host fights representing the battle between winter and summer. Again, that's split in half, the 2 years, winter and summer, 2 seasons, the dark half and the light half, with legend stating that it represented the Cailleach fighting with their sisters over the land, but also nods towards the Oak and Holly King battle too. And at Imbolc on the Orkney Islands, they have people that dress up as hags and chase the public through the streets with switches or rope to represent the hag. And in Celtic folklore, a revival was also celebrated on the 1st of November. And in many Slavic cultures, and those who still practice Slavic traditions, will still drown an effigy made from straw of the hag on the first day of spring, to represent the ending of winter and the start of spring. The Cailleach is a mother, the Great Mother, and she's said to have had many sons known as the Foar, and they were giant primordial beings. In some legends, she was married 7 times but outlived them all. And she was also said to have been a foster parent. She fostered children, nurturing their growth and their knowledge from the birth to the death. Goddess of the seed, the Fey realm, ancient magic and alternative realities. The Bone Mother, the woman of stones and the earth, often considered one of the triple goddesses, representing the crone with her sisters. And Scottish law states that they reside in an ancient loch in the Hebrides, carrying a hammer and sometimes a staff that she bangs on the ground to spread her ice. Scottish law states that Scotland was made by a giant hag, a goddess of the earth, the Cailleach na Bíre, the winter witch. It mentions her staff of winter, and she brings with her the power of the streams, rules over the springs, and generates the storms of the sea, the fair snow of winter, crafting the very land of Scotland as a primordial goddess, representing the wheel of the year, the very turning of time, the cycles of life. Linked to the goddess Bíre, another ancient Scottish goddess. They were giants, primordial beings. Ireland also has folklore describing the Cailleach forming the land. However, Ben Nevis is heavily mentioned in records as being one of the mountains that were formed by the boulders of the Cailleach. A primordial nature spirit who represents the ancestors of the land, representing the endurance of winter that was required in times past, even today for some people in Ireland and Scotland. That inner strength and resilience that our ancestors required just to function each day, just to eat each day. Hence, are linked as a goddess of protection. And the similarities with other goddesses, such as Bira and the goddess Cailleach, are not really ones that we can fail to mention here. As I say in a lot of my videos, there's a lot of crossover amongst multiple ancient cultures, but both Cailleach and the Cailleach are considered dark goddesses, both depicted in shades of blue, with one eye, and both could potentially hail from Indo-European roots, whose cultures were at one time nomadic and are said to have founded the Celtic tribal cultures and some of the Indian traditions that we see to this day. Most folklore, however, ends with the Cailleach tossing away a hammer at the end of winter and the start of spring, it falling under a holly bush, and therefore nature cannot grow, life cannot grow beneath a holly bush. So next time you spot a holly bush, have a look at the ground around it and see if it's got any grass or whether it's just bare soil. And you may just be lucky enough to spot the sacred hammer, the power hammer of the Cailleach.